All right, so we're here tonight. We're going to talk about the revenue cycle is an accounting information system that tracks the journey of a good or service until it is delivered to the consumer and payment is fully processed. So the information that's collected from the revenue cycle will then go into the other accounting cycles. The cycle is ideally providing businesses with the right product in the right place at the right time and for the right price. And there's 4 mini cycles, and we'll break each of these down shortly. So our group today, we're going to be talking about our 2 companies that we use for the first project, which is Target and Bed Bath & Beyond. The group members will analyze some of the threats and controls that are in place for each of the mini cycles to give a visualization of what these businesses are currently and should be looking out for. All right, so I think Jen is going to lead us off with the sales portion.
Yeah, so I know Bed Bath & Beyond and Target both probably do the same sort of ordering for their customers, where they are ordering products months in advance before they actually hit the shelves. They are placing bulk orders with all of their vendors. And oh God, I don't even know. I'm so tired. I'm sorry, guys. So with that, then they are obviously working with all of their vendors through their terms, probably even have early pay discounts with all of their vendors, given the volume that they're buying and all of the different products that they're getting from everybody. As far as like threat and controls, obviously, threats are going to be anywhere from like making sure wrong products, wrong placement for your products, and then all the way down to even your customers stealing your products. Those are all going to be threats to your bottom line.
Well, talking about theft, we'll go from there into the next 2 mini cycles, or part of the next 2 cycles. Going to look at inventory. We're going to look at customer response systems, kind of tied together, because if you don't have the right inventory, you're going to have mad customers. If they order something online and they go to pick it up curbside and suddenly they find out your inventory online was wrong, and what they just drove half an hour to go pick up is not there, you better have a good customer response team. So inventory, we're going to look at internal, external threats. Internal threats for data entry, like a customer only orders 1 and the associate enters 3, or the associate can't find a tag to ring up on a medium shirt, so rings up large. Now you've got your sizes are all off. Which really none of this seems like it would have anything to do with accounting. So the accountant is going to be looking at the forecasting element of this. So forecasting the inventory levels that you need, forecasting the products you need, forecasting your price, and breaking down how your price needs to account for theft and loss and things that you can't control that are going to occur. Externally, we have the theft. We also have supply chain disruptions, which we know that's been huge lately, with supply chains breaking down all over the world, and orders that were placed 2 years ago are now just coming in, and like Target sitting on so much inventory, they're taking massive markdowns that, you know, the accountants are crying on their paper as all this negative money is going out the door. So what we're going to do for those are going to be our threats. What we're going to look at is for our controls, perpetual inventory system. So, I mean, almost everyone has those. Those are pretty normal now. And then you can do things like what they call cycle counts, which is you pick a random 10 items to count across your store, compare those to your master count list just to see if, you know, if you've got something super out of whack. That also kind of helps with your internal theft, or letting you know if, you know, you're missing 15 iPods. You know, maybe you want to find out, do you not have them under lock and key? Do you have something going on with your shipping guys that they're slipping them out of the boxes before they come in? So it helps you ID some areas to check. For warehouses, you can do the RFID systems. which helps remove the oops out of your inventory of picking the wrong item, picking too many items, picking too few items. As far as theft, the accountant's role in that is going to be helping you with pricing. You're going to have to build in a cushion to your products to account for the theft, which is sad, but we all know that happens. You know, then you're looking at security tags. You're also going to look at who has access to what in your ERP system. So your sales associate should not have access to being able to change master inventory levels. Your supply chain, the accountant should be looking at, well, this money's flowed out to pay for this. Have I received this money? You know, they need to be checking in with the other departments to make sure that the money coming in and out is matching the merchandise coming in and out. So also connected to inventory, you've got your customer inquiries, your customer response system. This is super duper important. One, if you don't have customers to sell to, you're not going to make any money. Statistically, it is about 5 times more to attract a customer than to retain a customer. And those customers that you retain are going to be 80% of your business. 20% of your loyal customers will be 80% of your profit. So your big threat there is losing your customer. And Tim talked about this a lot with Bed Bath & Beyond. They're coupons. The whole point of that is retaining customers, getting people in the door. In 2019, they spent 50% of their capital expenditures on data analytics programs to help create a personalized experience so customers were getting coupons for things they were buying. Target implemented its Circle program, its Red Card, all of these aimed at getting customers loyalty up. Target also implemented their charity involvement, which allows customers to feel like they're involved in picking what charities that the donations are going to. The accountant here, their role is going to be looking at the customer acquisition cost, which is how much this is costing the company to bring a customer in and get them to buy. And then even more important is your customer retention cost, which is how much your loyalty cost is, your loyalty programs are costing you, how much the specific marketing design for these existing customers are costing you. But on the upside, loyal customers are pretty price resistant, or not price resistant, I'm sorry, I had that backwards. They're more likely to buy full price items. All this goes back to your customer relationship management system. That all goes back to data mining and uses of big data that your company has internally.
All right, so I think at this point I'll probably cut Brooks in. She wasn't able to be here tonight, so she is going to be talking a little bit about the mini cycle with shipping. She'll go over a little bit of the pick and pack order and the shipping order.
Two of the companies that we've previously discussed, Bed Bath & Beyond and Target, are both merchandising companies, and they are both heavily involved in the shipping cycle. There are 2 parts to the shipping cycle. The first is pick and pack. This is performed by the warehouse. When an order is placed, typically online, a picking ticket is generated. The warehouse workers would then take the picking ticket and identify the inventory and the quantity and pick it, then pack it for the shipping department. A concern could arise with picking tickets if they are printed manually. This could cause a duplicate order. The picking ticket could be printed multiple times. It could also cause an issue with picking the wrong item. If companies transition to electronic picking tickets and use barcode technology, this would eliminate the risk of duplicating orders and picking the wrong items. If items were duplicated and then shipped to the customer, this could cause a discrepancy in inventory as well as cost of goods sold. The second step of the shipping cycle is shipping. Once the order is picked and packed, it is transferred to the shipping department, and both the warehouse and the shipping department would sign off on the transfer. The shipping department verifies the order and then would ship. Now, most companies are outsourcing their deliveries. They use companies such as UPS, FedEx, DHL, and even USPS. With this, some concerns could be delays in shipping time. Relying on another company to ship your goods could cause problems. Another issue that could arise would be increased shipping costs. And even supply chain issues. We've seen that a lot recently with supply chain issues. So ways we could alleviate these concerns: companies could purchase their own delivery fleet and follow the lead of Amazon, which has their own delivery fleet. As far as the supply chain issues, Target has actually chartered their own container ship to regularly bring merchandise from overseas ports. So as co-managers of this ship, they avoid delays from additional stops and they steer clear of backup ports, which means they're receiving the merchandise faster, which means the merchandise ordered by customers is received by said customer faster, which means a satisfied customer.
Blake, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Really just with, like Sherry said, with everything going on with backtracking on orders and everything, the shipping cycle is really one of the most important things to focus on right now, because like with retaining customers and getting new customers alike, I mean, if you're sending out orders right as they come in, but they're not being shipped or delivered to the customers for weeks or months on end, then it's going to cause huge problems with keeping or getting new customers when it's really not your fault at all. So it's something that really needs to be taken into account and paid attention to right now specifically. But I think Brooke probably has more in depth on everything else, so I'll leave that to her.
All right. I think we're going to Tim next.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the billing mini cycle, and basically there's two tasks under that. There's invoicing and there's updating the accounts receivable. And Target is, and Bed Bath & Beyond, being retailers, they're not really invoicing their customers. So there's not a lot to talk about from Target's viewpoint of invoicing. So I'm going to kind of flip that around and talk about invoicing from Target suppliers' standpoint when they invoice Target. So in that case, you start out, Target puts in a sales order. All of this is probably done through an electronic data interchange. They're not passing back paper documents anymore. And I'll tell you why I think that in a minute. But so they put in the order. The supplier receives the order at whatever warehouse that the goods are stored. A picking ticket will be generated, and the warehouseman will go through the warehouse and pick out certain items ready to be packaged and shipped to Target. All the items will end up listed on a packing slip, and then they'll also be listed on a bill of lading. The packing slip is generally attached to the pallets or the packaging that the items are on, and then the bill of lading, it's a legal document as well, so it stays with the truck driver. So anyway, so the packing slip is particularly important because, am I getting some feedback? You guys hear that?
I think it's just maybe a little feedback, but I won't worry about it.
Maybe if I back up a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna keep on. So the packing slip is particularly important because that's the actual goods that are being sent to Target. It may not necessarily match the sales order, because things can happen, like there's not enough inventory to fill the sales order completely, so that in that case they would have to back order. So anyway, that is a control that needs to be done. The packing slip is going to have to be compared with the sales order at some point to make sure that Target gets everything. If things are on back order, then a memo would be created to kind of let the accountants know that there's going to be more items come in on that order. So some of the things that could go wrong are a lot of the data entry type stuff is taken care of through these electronic data interchanges. And that's all. What that is kind of just an attempt to eliminate paper documentation. So the sales order goes electronically. It's received by the target supplier, and through all the steps I just talked about with the shipping and delivering product to Target, and then the invoice from the supplier to Target will also come in electronically. So, so some of the controls or threats that need to be addressed are, anytime you have someone who could do kind of a dual function that can't be checked by someone else. For example, if you're shipping and billing at the same time, that presents certain problems. Those duties need to be segregated. There needs to be a separation of responsibility there, so that you can't have someone, shipping things to their friends, for example, and then, billing them something far less than the value of the goods that were shipped. So, and you don't want collusion either. So you don't want people that have those dual roles, or that have those roles that complement each other, to be working next to each other in a company either. So you want to kind of separate them by the departments, and that way you don't risk collusion. So that would be a threat. Some other threats would be like billing errors and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is taken care of through the electronic data interchanges. And, some of the inaccurate or invalid credit memos, for example, like I said, if you don't get enough of the inventory or enough of the product or the items that you've requested in your sales order, memos are created. Someone has to make sure that those items are eventually received. And so that would be another control that would be needed to put in place for that. So that's about it.
Yeah, so the last mini cycle was cash collections that we're going to cover. And with, as he was saying, with how big these companies are and what they can afford, most of them have already set up tellers and everything. They have cash registers. A lot of their payments are EFTs anyway. So a lot of the transactions are going to be automatically recorded through the EFTs and through the cash. The tellers, the cashier is going to take the money, ring it into the cash register, going to spit out a receipt. You have two confirmations. You have a customer copy, and the business keeps a copy too. So I feel like the biggest threat to them would be a company getting complacent and say, hey, I'm just saying, hey, I need this employee. I'm kind of busy. I need this employee to go take the money for the night to the bank. But I feel like they have pretty well in place checks and balances at this point, and it's pretty automated with how big these companies are, that they really don't have a massive fault in the system. And other than that, I could see would maybe be complacency, because in places I've worked, I have definitely seen management say, hey, I'm busy doing this, and have one of the cashiers or somebody just run to the bank and just drop off the deposit.
But to your point, Spencer, don't forget Targa had that massive data breach at all of their point of sales cash registers. So that is a huge external threat for everybody who does all those types of point of sales things. So I know we had previously talked about Target had gone back and, excuse me, reevaluated their security and where they're keeping all of their servers and everything like that, and increased all of that protection to help down the line prevent those types of threats as well for customers.
All right. Anybody else got anything they want to add? Wrap this up for the semester?
I'm so done.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.